you're in the market for a boiling, chilled or sparkling water tap for your home or office, you've most likely considered one of the two main brands, Billi and Zip. And in this video we're going to be answering the most common questions we get asked about these two brands, and hopefully by the end of the video you'll have a better understanding of which one is right for you. So what do these two brands have in common? Well, both Billi and Zip have both been manufacturing instant water taps for decades, and so they have a huge amount of experience behind them. And it's interesting, these are both two Australian brands, and so Australia is actually where boiling, chilled and sparkling taps gain popularity, and mostly driven by Billi and Zip. From a design perspective, both brands are very similar in that they offer a wide range of tap options, including different colours and styles, and different system capacities for if you're installing it in your home or in your office. Both brands have advanced water filtration to protect from sediment, like dirt, sand and rust, and chemicals, and some heavy metals, and it'll also protect the system from scale to prolong the boiler element life, because when they scale up they can reduce the lifespan of the element. While we're on that note about filtration, it's important to note that Billi units can only take genuine Billi filters. They contain a little chip that needs to register in the Billi unit, whereas Zip units, you can install either a genuine Zip filter or an aftermarket compatible filter. Another thing to note is that the Billi systems go into a setting called filter lockout, which means if you leave the filter installed for more than 12 months, it gives you a few weeks of leeway to change the filter, and then the system will actually stop dispensing water until you change that filter. So while we agree that it's good to change the filter every 12 months at least to prevent bacterial buildup and make sure the scale inhibitor media is working properly and protecting the boiler, it's something to be aware of that if you wanted to change the filter for longer than that 12-month span, your system's actually going to stop working if you choose the Billi unit. Let's jump inside one of these units and take a look at one of the biggest differences between Billi and Zip. So there's a thing called a condenser, which is the method that the system uses to chill down the water. And all Zip units use an air-cooled condenser method where it blows air into the system and that assists the water to chill down. Whereas some of the Billi units use a water-cooled condenser, which there's two main differences between water-cooled and air-cooled. One is that you don't need as much space in the cupboard if you have a water-cooled condenser, because you don't need the ventilation for around the underbench system. And the second thing is, when you have ventilation, often you'll also need to add vents into your cupboard, which a cabinet maker or a plumber can often fit for you. But if you want to avoid that, making any changes to the cupboard, then sometimes a Billi water-cooled system might be the right option for you. When it comes to warranty, Billi offers a 2-year warranty and Zip a 3-year warranty. Both are parts and labour, so they'll send a technician out for that. And when it comes to the Zip warranty, they do offer 2 years extension on the internal tanks in case they leak or fail. And it's something that we don't often come across, so it's rare that that's going to happen anyway, but that's an added benefit to the Zip one. So, is Zip or Billi better? At the end of the day, it comes down to the main few differences. So Billi units tend to be a bit cheaper, particularly the residential models. They do have that drawback for some that you have to use a genuine filter, and it locks you out of the system and doesn't dispense water if you don't replace the filter within 12 or 13 months. And then Zip also has that 3-year warranty instead of the 2 years, but they can be a little more expensive depending on the model. And so it really depends. And if you want to avoid cutting any vents in your cupboards, then some of the Billi water-cooled units can be the way to go. So I hope that answers your questions, and if you have any more, feel free to check out our Learning Centre or visit our Contact Us page and send us a message. Another question we commonly get asked is, what does it cost to install one of these Billi or Zip taps? If you're replacing an existing system, an old one that's broken or you don't like that one anymore, it'll cost you between $300 to $600 on average. If you're installing a new system, because there's added costs like installing ventilation and mounting a new tap on the sink, it may cost a bit more, like $600 to $900. There is other factors to take into account, like whether you have a power point, a water supply, drainage, which obviously won't be a problem if you've got a sink there, and if you have a stone or artificial stone bench top, we highly recommend getting a stonemason to cut the hole for the tap, which could cost around $200. So those costs could add on top of the $600 to $900 if you don't have that already in place. So how long does a Billi or Zip tap last before you have to replace it? We often find it's around the range of 6 to 10 years that they'll last, and you'll often run into, down the track, there could be components that you need to replace and get the system repaired by a technician. And we find that any system over 8 years old, it's a good idea to take a good look at what it costs to replace the system with a brand new one instead of getting it repaired, because what our technicians find, we've been replacing and repairing Billi and Zip units for over a decade, and when you try and repair a system that's over 8 years old, suddenly it can trigger other issues and your repair can blow out to a much higher level than you expected. So that's why we always recommend, if your system's older than 5 years and you're getting it repaired, always get a repair quote from the technician so you can just balance it up with what you want to do. The next question we have a lot is, can I change a Billi or Zip filter myself? And the answer is yes, it won't void the warranty, and we have good video guides on our Learning Centre on how to do this. Another common question we get asked is, are there any cheaper alternatives to Billi and Zip taps? And the answer is yes, there's a lot. And the main difference is that Billi and Zip taps have pumps in the hot tank and the cold tank to dispense the water, whereas most of the cheaper alternatives use mains water pressure to push the water from the tanks. The only drawback with these systems that pump mains water pressure into the system to dispense it from the tap is that after you dispense a few cups of water, it tends to reduce the heat if it's on the boiling side, or make the water slightly less chilled if you're dispensing chilled water, because you're sending a lot of room temperature water into those tanks to push out the hot or the cold water. So if you're in a small office, I'd recommend checking those systems out, as well as if you're in a home on a budget. In larger applications, say you've got more than 20 staff, I'd definitely recommend a Billi or Zip unit. The other benefit of the cheaper systems design is that not only are they cheaper to start off with, but because there's less moving parts like pumps and solenoid valves, they're much cheaper to maintain as well and tend to be more reliable. And so we will link the recommended suppliers for alternative taps to Billi and Zip in the post below, or if you're on YouTube, we'll link the post on our website. And if you have any questions, we'd love to hear them.